Hey there, I'm going to schedule an AI engineer interview with Dobr. Let's create the interview round first. So it's an AI engineer interview, and for the skill I will add Python for ML and LLM, and I'll keep a coding round because for ML coding is important, and I'll keep the language as Python. So it's going to be a 55-minute interview and the deadline is 7 days. So the round is created and I can just open that round and let me add myself to the round. Okay, so I've scheduled the interview and let's see how the interview happens. So here we have got an email for the interview. So I'll just start my interview. I'll copy the passcode and I'll start my interview. Okay, so I've entered my passcode. I'll start the interview now. I'll skip these steps and go straight to the interview. So as you can see, the discussion starts around the topics of machine learning. So I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions. Cross-validation is a technique used in machine learning to evaluate how well a model will generalize to unseen data.
That's a good start. Cross-validation is indeed crucial for evaluating a model's performance on unseen data. Let's move on to another important concept in machine learning. Can you describe the bias-variance trade-off and its significance in model selection?
The bias-variance trade-off in machine learning is a concept that explains the balance between two sources of error that affect the model performance. The two sources are bias and variance.
You've touched on the concept of bias and variance. Let's explore another crucial aspect of machine learning. Can you explain ensemble learning methods and why they are effective?
So I'll jump to the coding part now.
I see you're using sorting and a two-pointer approach, which is a good optimization over the brute force method you initially described. Can you explain why sorting the array helps with finding unique triplets?
Okay, so now I'm in the coding interview part, and I have done the discussion for the initial approach. I'm in the implementation phase. So here I've implemented a partial code, and the interviewer has asked me to complete my implementation, while it also wants me to explain why am I sorting the array. So it basically tries to understand in a deeper manner why I'm implementing a particular approach in a particular manner. And as you can see, the interview is very conversational and it's also very natural. So you can interrupt the interviewer when it's talking, and also when you are talking, you can think about your approach and you can take your time to think, and it'll completely work like a natural conversation. So let me just show you a demo. All right, so I am sorting the array because sorting helps me identify the unique triplets. So let's say in my array I have 1, 2, 3, 4, right, and then 4 again, and then 1 and 2 again. So if I do not sort this array, it will not be possible to ignore these duplicate triplets. And if I do not ignore these duplicate triplets, I might end up taking 1 multiple times. So once I sort the array, as you can see in line number 7 and 8, I am actually able to filter out all the duplicate items. So let's say after I sort the array, in the beginning I have multiple 1s and then I have multiple 2s. So for the first iteration, I skip all the 1s, all the duplicate 1s. So ultimately the final solution that I get will only have one triplet, which is using the number 1.
Complete the implementation by comparing the sum and
Sure.
adjusting the pointers.
Okay, so I have added some more logic. So I have added a while where I am controlling the two pointers, the left and the right pointers, and these pointers are supposed to come towards each other, and once they have met, we'll end the loop. And this while loop will be executed for every iteration of the first loop. And even in this loop, right, I find the total. So if the total is 0, I will append this result to our array. And as I was saying, even in this loop, I was skipping all the duplicate items. So if the leftmost pointer is at 2, right? And as I said, I have multiple 2s in my example. So I'll skip all the 2s and I'll go to the next, the last 2. And the same thing will happen for the right pointer. So I'll keep skipping all the duplicate numbers and come to the first one. So that's how I'm gonna avoid duplicate triplets.
You've completed the implementation. Can you explain how your code handles duplicate triplets and ensures uniqueness in the result?
Okay, so as you saw, this is how the coding interview happens. It essentially starts with a requirement discussion, just like a real world interview. Then we go to the approach discussion where the candidate discusses the approach, and then we come to the coding part. And even when we are coding, the candidate works with the AI to complete the code. And even after the code, we discuss through the code, try to understand more about why the candidate has done a particular implementation, figure out the mistakes in the implementation, go together, work together to solve these issues, and then we discuss the time and space complexity, discuss potential optimizations. So this is how a Dobr interview happens. So I'll just quickly end this interview and I'll show you a feedback of an interview and how it looks like. All right, it seems the feedback for my interview has come in, and unfortunately I had to cheat for this interview, and unfortunately again Byte was able to detect that I did cheat in this interview. And yeah, but first things first, let's look at the feedback. This is how a Dobr interview feedback looks like. You get a high-level score, you get a high-level recommendation that's based on the Google's hiring rubric, you get a high-level summary of why did we go ahead with this score and this recommendation. You get a very detailed transcript along with all the codes that the user submitted, along with at what particular point which code was submitted and what discussion happened. You get a very detailed feedback on different sections of the interview. For example, this is the feedback on the coding section of the interview, and these are the feedback on the different skill sections of the interview. Apart from that, you also get key strengths and areas of improvement. And the best thing is you also get a very detailed analysis of whether or not the candidate has cheated in this interview, making it really, really difficult to cheat in a Dobr interview. All right, that's all. That's Dobr.